So if you want to go ahead and share. So when you go to share, click this button right here. Yeah, share time. Click that one as well. Yeah, it'll make everything work better. Go ahead and close out of that, and then go ahead and click share. Are you on Yale Secure or are you on Yale?
It's Yale Secure. Yeah, I have the yeah. It's not guest yet.
All right.
Yeah,
we'll get started. Yeah, sweet. All right.
Share the screen. Hello, everybody. My name is Gabriel. I'm a second-year PhD student and a committee member of BIOMES. We appreciate you all being here on this Thursday. I know it's a little bit of a change of pace. I'm not going to give like the whole regular BIOMES spiel. You all know me, Brandon, Jeffrey Blay, a couple of other folks. If you guys have any folks that you guys feel should come and speak to the YSE community, let us know if you're interested in being a part of BIOMES. It's a really fun team. Work closely with the Dean's office. Feel free to reach out to us and we can share more about that. Today I have the pleasure of introducing Zhao, the founder and director of Green Camel Bell, grassroots environmental NGO in Northwest China. I really like that Zhong, their introduction kind of goes from the local to the global. And so I think I might have to steal that. But at the local level, he conducts a range of programs and projects focusing on environmental education, water pollution monitoring, and community-based eco-agriculture and sustainable development. At the national level, he promotes research, public participation in environmental decision-making, and provides training and mentorship to grassroots partners. At the global level, bridges Chinese overseas energy and forest investors, impacted communities of host countries, promoting responsible green investment. So please give a round of applause to Zhao.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. And it's my great pleasure to come here, share my experience with the environmental NGO in China about our work on nature conservation and public participation. And today, my sharing will be based on my 17 years work and as an environmental NGO, and like very strong, tenacious, and resilient grassroots organizations are everywhere, making efforts on bottom-up solutions for the environment and even under pressure and difficulties. And my talk will focus on a typical Tibetan county called Machu. Machu means Yellow River in Tibetan. It's the only county named after the Yellow River. Machu County is located in the eastern edge of the Qinghai Tibetan Plateau in northwest China. we can compare, the Machu County, with the New Haven city where we are now. The population of Machu is about 57,000, and mostly Tibetan herdsmen, less than half of New Haven's population. But the area of this county is almost 200 times as big as New Haven. Another huge difference between these two places is in the elevation. Here is the top of the, the top of the Harkness Tower, one of the highest building at Yale. The top of the mountain represents the average elevation of Machu County. It's about 12,000 feet and 56 times higher than the Harkness. So looking down from Machu, people in New Haven are as tiny as ants. Machu grassland. Back. Okay. So Machu grassland is in the heart of the upstream Yellow River basin called the reservoir of the Yellow River. The grassland are beautiful places with a diverse flora and fauna among amazing Tibetan culture. On the other hand, grassland are facing serious Okay, so this short video was made one of our volunteers, and they make a trip to our project site for 1 week last year. And so we can see how beautiful about these areas and the grassland, the culture, the people there. But on the other hand, grassland are facing severe stress and degradations these years. In this map, the red part is marshland now, and the yellow part is the degraded marshland in past decades. So first, I will, First, I will go over the main stress to the grassland. The water quantity in the Yellow River Basin is obviously decreased from the year 2005 and the year 2020. As you can see, the huge difference in the picture taken in the same location and the same season. Those two photos shows that the wetland are turning into dry land quickly. It's not just an environmental problem, but also social problem. Tibetan people, they have to seek and carry water from miles away. The water flow decreased, make it harder to get domestic water nearby. More than that, desertification is another severe stress to the wetland and grassland ecosystem. In a large area of Yellow River banks in this region, the desertification become worse and worse, and the desert expand very fast. Okay. In addition, human activities also contribute a lot to the direct influence to grassland degradation. The trash, like plastic bags, used bottles, is everywhere in the grassland. Mining and infrastructure construction also aggregate grassland degradation in these areas. Now I will move on to an analysis of the stress there. There are many explanations of those strengths. Some experts demonstrate that the impact of climate change on grassland degradation. They indicate that the recent rising of temperature and the decrease of rainfall had an adverse effect on grassland. In contrast, some research suggests that overloaded livestock brought the main problem of grassland. Livestock had exceeds the carrying capacity of grassland in most areas. Moreover, some research criticized the unreasonable policies in that areas, such as forced settlement of herdsmen and fencing on grassland, which breaks through the herdsman's traditional way of living. The lack of environmental awareness also was mentioned as a main reason for ecological destruction by human activities. And my organization, Green Campbell, has been seeking for bottom-up solution for grassland conservation since the year 2005. We developed 4 pillars in our project. The first pillar is indigenous knowledge. According to the definition by the World Bank, indigenous knowledge is the local knowledge that is unique to a given culture or a society. It's the basis of local level decision making in agriculture, healthcare, food preparation, education, natural resources management, and a host of other activities in rural communities. Through my observation, I found that areas with a better environment usually have a better keeping of indigenous knowledge. So we are digging for indigenous knowledge and the technology of grassland protection, and carrying out dissemination and education and disseminating this indigenous knowledge to the public. That's the first pillar. And the second pillar is the community participation. All our projects are community-based and needs-oriented. That means community members, villagers, and Tibetan herders are the main body of our project. And through community participation, we are building a community-based natural resources co-management platform to promote grassland restoration and improve water storage capacity at the source of Yellow River. The third pillar is sustainable development. Our focus is not only the environment, but also people living in the fragile environment. We are helping with herders to develop sustainable livelihood based on ecotourism and environment-friendly business. And our last pillar is civil society. We believe that a robust and healthy civil society is the foundation of natural conservation. While protecting the environment, we are also supporting local environmental groups and promoting the development of civil society. Now I will give you some examples of environmental contents in herdsmen's indigenous knowledge. All herdsmen there are Buddhists, and they believe in that nature sites are sacred, including holy mountains and lakes. According to indigenous knowledge of herdsmen, people should respect and conserve nature and wildlife. Holy mountains and lakes are nature reserves for Tibetan, and any destructive activities such as tree cutting, dumping, or wildlife catching around the holy mountains and lakes is totally banned. On the Tibetan plateau, the yak dung is not waste, but an essential means of livelihood and a gift from the nature. The indigenous knowledge teaches us the yak dung is not dirty because yak eat clean grasses and drink clean water. Have any one of you touched fresh yak dung? Yeah, I have. It's my first introduction to the herdsman communities. Sun-dried yak dung is a Tibetan main living fuel for cooking and heating. In addition, yak dung is also special and ecological construction materials. In regional areas, there are yak dung made houses, yak dung made fences, yak dung made dog houses, even yak dung made nature refrigerators in the winter. And now I will play 2 audience videos. And so that means the videos with some smell.
那个李一凡，这两头近点，你来搞快，近点容易的给你加油啊！这个容易的，这就好了，这个最简单。我就是拉绳。那个你怎么那么快？真的。那个你得近一点，手洗一下就行了，这都得搞。啊，张老师，我们准备开始了。
现在帮着姐姐一起剪。
那个，我们上哪可来？来一下呀！一起来，一起来！哎呀，啊，1、2、3，谁不下谁往不来。对。薄啊，又薄了嘛，薄了又光滑嘛。昨天我们看那个电视里面不就这样吗？又光滑又薄。
草有牛粪在上面。哦。 哎，这还有一坨。
你是清好了。哦。哇，王一林现在很会分啊。
王一林，你好棒啊！
So this summer, this group of junior high school students came to the herdsman's communities on their summer graduation trip to experience the nomadic life and carry out some environmental protection service. The bravest one in the video is my 5-year-old son, who treated yak dung like mud. And for, I'm raising him to be a tree hugger, to be a nature hugger, and maybe to be a dump lover in future. And for the teenagers and adults, although we explained to them the value of yak dung in herders' traditional culture, they are still very resilient to pick up yak dung, especially those very fresh ones. I give those teenagers some incentives. Those who finished picking up yak dung was rewarded with a horse riding. My son also made a very good demonstration. Eventually, everyone finished the daunting task and experienced the application of indigenous people. For members of the public who don't have the opportunity to experience a herder's life, we collect and compile local story about environment protection from herders. We supported and encouraged herders to record their daily life and the environment with the cameras. We published the collection of herders' native story and photographers to encourage people to learn ways to protect the environment from Tibetan indigenous people. Next, I will share examples of our second pillar, community participation. The first thing we have done about community participation was to empower community members to make a decision on their own. In other words, the community should be the main body of grassland protection and other activities. Because the herdsmen have stayed thousands of years in the grassland, they are very familiar with the grassland and have strongest willingness to protect the grassland. After the empowerment, due to the limitation of ability and knowledge, we are working together with herders for a long-term capacity building. Our capacity building covers a very wide range of topics, including ecological monitoring, wildlife species identification, camera use, ecotourism, cooperative management, sustainable rangeland management, and more. Trainings, storytelling, role-playing, folk music, group discussion, and field trip are methods we are using. Moreover, we are supported the community in establishing the herders organization, the Community Natural Resources Management Committee. This herders organization is our partner organization. They can coordinate the managing of communities' internal affairs, such as livestock limitation, joint grazing, rotation, and alternative livelihood like sustainable grassland management and development. Next, I will share 2 case studies of community participation on the basis of community empowerment, capacity building, and community organization. The first case is about grassland restoration. This erosion gully was caused by various reasons, such as overgrazing, vegetation destruction, rain erosion, animal trapping, and climate change. It started out as a small shadow gully. Extensive grazing and tapping by yaks and sheep destroyed the vegetation on the gully and on both sides. Soil erosion exaggerated by heavy rains and other extreme weather has made the erosion gully deeper and wide. It's just like a wound on human's skin that keep bleeding, destroying the grassland system. The solution for erosion gully is not very complicated and just build a dam to store water, slow erosion, and allow sediment from upstream to snow fill the gully. Unlike some government-led projects, we invite community members to participate in all aspects of grassland restoration process. During the design phase of the restoration program, we worked with the community members to select a site and found the most enrooted location. We also listened to the suggestion of herders and used the local materials to avoid using environment unfriendly materials like woven bags. We invited community members to participate in the construction process and give them training on the principle of erosion gully, restoration, and post-management during the construction intervals. These herders can easily replicate the method for other erosion gully restoration. After 1 year, the peat deposition were about 3 centimeters. Local community members have been helping to record the progress of restoration and to reinforce the losses dam sector. So it's anything to repair or to maintain was totally in charge by those community members. We use the participatory method for the glass greenhouse project as well. We as an NGO provided some funding, training, and technical support, while the community invests manpower to build, measure, and use it under our guidance. The greenhouse is used for livestock in the winter and planting in the summer. It's a nursing home for calves and a shuttle for the old, weak, and sick yaks. Calves in greenhouse grew faster and stronger. The natural mortality of animals was reduced as well. So the grassland utilization is improved and the grassland pressure is reduced. In the summer, the greenhouse have a lot of use. We need the herder in growing vegetables, and sometimes herders have never done that before. Our first year of experimentation was very successful, providing the feasibilities of planting in greenhouse on the plateau of nearby 4,000 meters. Our project has increased the utilization of greenhouse and reduced food expenses of the herders. And the herders are using plantation as an alternative livelihood, which also will reduce the grassland livestock load and reduce their dependency on natural resources. You can imagine the joy of herders who had been herding for generations and when they harvest a huge radish for the first time. Now we are moving to the third pillar, sustainable development. Through our long-term investigation of a community, we found that the community is overgrazing. That is to say, the number of yaks and sheep on rangeland exceeds the carrying capacity of the rangeland. Every year, the animal eat more grasses than the newly grew grass. Herdsmen also say that the grasslands are degradation with less and less vegetation coverage and lower grasses. The indigenous knowledge also tells them to feed their livestock with extra forage or rent other people's rangeland to graze for a period of time. Despite of this, herds have to continue to increase their livestock numbers, even as grassland degraded, as grazing is the only source of income for them. Contrary to the expectation, why the number of yaks and sheep increased, their income didn't improve because anytime the grassland degraded, the growth of yaks and sheep will slower and the fertility rate will also increase. So therefore, herders have to find out alternative livelihood to achieve sustainable development. Two MBA team from Harvard University figure out ecotourism is the best and the most feasible alternative livelihood for the herdsman communities. Eco2 is the way to reduce grazing intention, improve grassland quality, build community capacity, increase herdsman income, and protect the ecosystem. We do hope ecotourism is what the herder themselves want to do, not we let them do. It's their own business. It's their own project. So following the business plan, we are using participatory method to introduce ecotourism to the herdsman communities. First, we give them some trainings, providing basic concepts and basic practice of ecotourism. And many herders believe that seeing is believing. So we organize a study to let them experience real ecotourism and talk directly with tourism practitioners. Community members share what they saw and heard in the trip and had more discussion in the communities. Then all community members voted and made a collective decision whether choose ecotourism as alternative livelihood for the whole community. When herds all agree to develop ecotourism, we give them some specialized training based on their needs and interests, such as tour guiding and catering. The herds communities host the first group of ecotourists in 2016, now we are still working together to improve the ecotourism service and promote to potential tourists. So we can see a short video about
我叫赵忠，我现在是在马曲的草原上，这是一片我非常熟悉的草原。十几年来，我和志愿者一次次地来到这片草原，见证了这片草原的变化。我和我的伙伴们也尽我们所能，给这片草原带来一些改善，保护草原的生态环境，给这边的牧民带来一些生计的提升。我们是从2010年的时候到阿万仓，和一个只有8户人的小社区来共同做一些事情，希望能改善草场的质量。我们通过方方面面的调查，也咨询了商业方面的专家，还专门请了美国的 MBA 团队给我们做了商业计划，最终是确定在阿万仓发展生态旅游，以生态旅游作为替代生计，来减少草场上留洋树木，达到保护草原的目的。从去年开始，我们带了3、4批的客人，大多数是孩子和他们的家长到草原上来，带他们认识草原，感受草原的美丽，建立孩子跟自然、跟草原直接的连接，同时也教会他们关于野生动物、关于野花野草的知识，给他们进行一些科学的培训，让他们像小科学家一样，在草场上调查草原的生态环境，观察野生动物，寻找草原上的水源。通过这些活动，一方面让牧民提高收入，减少对牛羊的依赖，减少草场的压力；另一方面，对外面的孩子和他们的家长，也是一次难得的机会，可以认识到我们美丽的自然，也更多能够在未来的生活和学习中投入到关注自然、保护自然的行为中。现在这个社区基本具备了接待游客、对游客进行生态讲解和生态导赏的能力。做事情最根本的还是在于坚持，我们会长期跟进这个项目，让更多的游客到社区里面来。希望未来也会有更多其他的社区加入生态旅游，通过生态旅游发展替代生计，在更大范围内减少留洋树木，减少草场压力，最终实现草原的保护。
Okay, so in our ecotourism, we let students to observe wildlife by binoculars, to check up the health condition of rivers and monitor grassland qualities. We encourage students to use their hands, feet, and eyes to feel nature, understand the diversity of nature, and feel the happiness brought by nature. Tourists are also excited as they jump across the river, pick up yakdang, and see wolves and eagles in the wild for the first time. Riding a horse and galloping on the grassland is everyone's dream, and their dreams come true here. Tourists can also experience unique Tibetan culture and pure nomadic lifestyle, making authentic Tibetan food, visiting Buddhist temple, dressing Tibetan clothing, milking yak, grazing yaks as sheep with herders. Every tourist also need to participate in voluntary service in the communities as well, picking up trash, cleaning up the grassland, and reading for community children. Most of the children increase their knowledge of grassland and their awareness for protection. Ecotourism plant a green seed in each child's heart, and perhaps soon this seed will sprout and blossom. Our organization also signed a conservation agreement with the communities. The community make a commitment that every 1,000 yuan, Chinese yuan of ecotourism income, the community will reduce the one sheep, and every 6,000 yuan, they will reduce the one yak until no more overgrazing. In 2016, the year launched the ecotourism, the communities got 5,600 Chinese yuan income, at about 800, not too much, but in 2020, they received 50,000 yuan, about 7,000 US dollar tourism income, and they reduced 50 sheep as promised. In the past 2 years, due to the COVID-19, the tourist income of the community has been unstable. Hope it will resume next year. And in my last case study is about civil society's role of monitoring and advocacy for pika. Pika is a small rodent with short limbs, very round body, and even coat of fur, and no external tail. They are very, very common of the grassland. In our eco-tourist camp, you may often see a group of people lying on the ground as if they are looking for something. It's the internal structure of a pika's barrel. A pika's barrel has multiple entrances and exits, so it takes teamwork to catch a pika. A group of people, each guarding a hole and blowing air in, and leaving only one hole to put a trap, waiting for a pika to come out. At the beginning, it only took about 7 minutes to catch one pika, but recently, pika living around the camp are smarter and smarter, and no matter how much you blow the air in, they won't come out. The capture of pika brought a lot of joy and expectations to the children participating in the ecotourism. But pika escaped the capture of tourists through evolution, but they cannot escape from a great disaster. In recent years, local policymakers have defined pika as pests and blame pika for grassland degradation. Very unfortunately, a large-scale rodent control operation was carried out on the grassland by applying chemical rodenticide and introducing non-local red foxes. Many scientists don't agree with the government approach. They believe that the increase in pika is only the result of grassland degradation, not the cause of grassland degradation. Pika are a very important component of food chain and ecosystem on the grassland. The applications of chemical rodenticide will strengthen grass predators, including wolves, fox, eagles, and more, and the whole ecosystem. The introduction of a non-local predator will also have an unpredictable ecological impact. For example, the non-local red fox released into the wild were domesticated in the farms. They may not be able to catch pikas and instead prey on birds' eggs in wetland, or intra-human activity areas to fund food. Pika cannot speak. They cannot fight for their own right. So this is the responsibility of a civil society to advocate for Pika and the nature who cannot speak. We are working closely with local environmental NGO to monitor the rodent control activities by the government. I requested the government information disclosure about the rodent control plan, budget, scientific feasibility research from relevant department. I also suggested to the government the needs for a careful scientific approach to rodent control on the grassland. Although the impact of a civil society is still very limited, we believe that if we persist, we will definitely make nature better. Yeah, so that's my sharing. Thank you very much, and I welcome your questions.
You have time for lots of questions, so if anyone has any. Perfect.
Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for the work you've done. I have actually two questions. I personally used to work for a grassroots nonprofit in China for 2 years before I came here, and I've noticed a few trends, including the funding is getting more and more difficult to get, restrictions on nonprofit operations is getting more and more stringent. And it's getting more and more challenging to register and, get recognized for your nonprofit. And arguably, the country is getting more and more autocratic. So I'm wondering, what are your strategies as a director of a nonprofit to survive under such circumstances? Do you coalesce with other nonprofits, and how do you take advantage of the emerging opportunities and avoid the risk over the processes? And that's the first question. Please bear with me. And then the second is that I'm assuming you are a ethnic Han, so working in an indigenous Tibetan community, how do you navigate the power relationship between you and the ethnic minorities that are living there? So I guess those are my two questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for your question. And for the first questions, of course, it's not easy work to do environmental NGO in China with the authoritarian political system, but we do have some way to work out. And for example, about the funding issues, we used to receive a lot of funding from international foundations, and from 2017, it's become more and more difficult. So we are now just trying to do as social entrepreneurs. For example, our eco-tourist, and we, as the first 3 years, is totally free to every tourist, every student. And from 2019, we start to receive some, ask the tourists to pay for that, not only the cost, but also some extra cost of my organization and our staffing. So that's one way how we can get some alternatively funding to keep our work can be continued. And also in that areas, the ethnic minority areas, we should do things very, very carefully, very smart. And sometimes we do have a teamwork. For example, just yesterday, we also received many complaints about the releasing of non-local rest folks. But we decided to share the information with some Beijing-based organization. They are much stronger and influential, and we asked them to share the information and to give pressure to the local government rather than us. And also we have some partnership with local organizations. They are dominated by ethnic minorities, the Tibetans. And sometimes we are also helping them to receive fundings because we are high nationalities. We are not so safe, but just a bit safer than those ethnic minorities are. So that's we think in a whole society, we are working together. Sometimes we do a lot of teamwork. And for your second questions, yes, I'm not minorities, I'm the Han, but sometimes people may thought me as a minority because of my skin color. And I prepared some slides for my personal story, but I just worry about the times I didn't do that. And according to your questions, and I try to play that. And I'm a tree hugger, I'm a nature hugger, and also I'm a mountain hugger. Here is a slow mountain in Tibet, and with the elevation about 22,000, about 6,000 meters. And I was there in May 2007. And a place near the peak, unfortunately, I fell into glacier gap with a slow surface cover and lost all mountaineering gears. That night, I was the only living thing in the mountain, deathly silence around. I could feel the death and thinking a lot of things. But very fortunately, 33 hours later, I was rescued by Tibetan living around at the foot of the mountains. So the name of the photo was as Fire Eskimo hunt a sea ox. I was a sea ox in the sleeping bag. And I think maybe some of you have read this book, 3 Cups of Tea. It's about mountaineer. It's about U.S. mountaineer called Greg Mountain. And he was sheltered by a Pakistani villager after climbing K2, the second highest mountain in the world. In return, he built schools and promotes education for the villager and many more others in Pakistan and Afghanistan. And so that might be my reason why I spend a lot of time, why even I'm not a Tibetan, but I'm so care about the Tibetan region, because I think that's to do things about the environment in Tibetan area, to help with, to working with those Tibetan people. That's the only thing I can pay back the help I received in the mountains of 22,000 feet. And the reason I can still alive here is because of those Tibetans. They went to the mountains with risk and rescued me. So that's my motivation, inside motivation for the work in that areas. But I do deal with the relationship with the local ethnic minority very carefully. So first thing is to respect their cultures. We should realize the difference between my nationalities and ethnic minorities. We respect their culture, their traditions, their religions, and so that's the basis for our cooperation. And the second thing is we just try to fill out the gap. For example, they don't know how to do farming, but we think in the context of climate change, people maybe in the future, the plateau areas can also plant trees or plant crops. So that's something new we can bring to the communities. So we are trying to encourage them to accept some new things, to realize the climate issues, to do some things that might be totally different, that might be they haven't never experienced. So that's my story and feedback.
I'll ask a question then if we know. Do you have one? Yeah, go first.
Hi, thank you so much for your talk. It's been really interesting. I'm curious, as this community that you're working with is shifting towards ecotourism as a primary economic relying primarily on it economically versus grazing, if that's creating any sort of like cultural shifts, especially as people are coming in from like other locations then and being, as the community is being perceived more by other like non-local people and then start interacting more with like non-local people, if that's creating any kind of like cultural shifts or pressures within the community.
Yes, and actually the culture shock, the conflict between different cultures exists all the times. And for those herders, they are used to be their nomadic lifestyle, very romantic, very easy. Sometimes we try to push them to service for tourists, especially for the men. They don't want to do that because, there's still a huge gender inequalities in Tibetan society, especially in the rural areas. So the men think we are the leaders in their home. They should be served by the women rather than they serve for the tourists. So that's a huge cultural shock. But yeah, so first thing is our accompanying with them. So sometimes we, as someone from outside, just do the things with them to make them, to show a demonstration what the gender equality should be, and men and women can, all of us can do the same work to serve for the tourist. And also we just give some incentive. It's not the only way, but it's still very good things. People, they think they can get some money, and they just that can be their motivation to make changes. But the cultural shock is happening. But we think we do respect their indigenous culture, their traditionals. But some not everything, not every traditional is good. So that's something we should differentiate. For the good side, their balance, their relationship with the nature, that's something so we should respect and try to spread, disseminate it. But some side, especially for the domestic gender issues, we totally think that we have to abandon it. So that's something so we will give influence to the communities and push them to make changes. But for the outside, for the people living in the city, they also have a lot of shock because most of the people living in the city may thought Tibetans are very dirty and they don't take a shower. Maybe they only take a shower 3 times a year. Maybe you also heard that's how to say bias, stereotype. Yeah. So some people living in the city, they don't want sleep in a Tibetan's house, but we just try to explain what's the stereotype and what's the real Tibetan culture, and try to make them to be friends, try to make them to be connected. And also those connections can exist for a long time. Some people who visit them the first year and come back the second and third years, and sometimes they also try to support the communities in other ways. For example, we also have a platform called CSA, Community Support Agriculture. That means the people living in the city area can purchase the yak meat directly from the herders. So the herders can receive the high price for their livestock products. And also for the citizens, they can get food with clear sources with high qualities. So those relationships also will benefit for both sides.
Hi, thanks so much for your presentation. I have 2 questions. So the first one is that I think when COVID hit, a lot of communities that relied on ecotourism suffered quite a bit because people weren't able to travel and visit. Did COVID change the way that you think about or approach ecotourism in this area?
Yeah, thanks for your question. And and people are changing the ways of lives because of the COVID-19, but I still believe people still need to go outside to enjoy the nature, and they are still a big market for the ecotourism. So, and for the China, maybe next year, the zero COVID policies will be a bit news, and we maybe see a lot of boom of ecotourism next year. So I do think no matter under what situation, people do need to go outside to get energy from the nature, and especially for the children, for the kids, they should enjoy to grow up together with the nature.
Gotcha, thanks. My second question is that in some communities, and there have been case studies where if you introduce like agriculture to a certain community, it changes their relationship to the land and it changes their lifestyle. So for example, maybe they don't do so much like shifting agriculture or different ways that you know they used to live before with the land. Have you thought about, I guess, you know, or how do you see the impacts of sort of teaching people to farm and introducing farming in a fixed way as a practice?
Yeah, and we do a lot of training, but and also sometimes it's not just like training in a classroom. We live together with these herders for several days. We work together, we sleep together, and we just try to explain. And we also use some personal stories. For example, those parents, they are very care about their kids' health. So we just explain, if you purchase the vegetable from the market, you don't know where the veggies grew. Maybe they use a lot of pesticide and fertilizer. If you plant by yourself, you can make sure your veggie is very healthy and very clean. And so they do care about their children, and they think, okay, that's something they can try, not only for the profit, but also for the health of their children. And also we try to give them other reasons, you know, during the COVID-19, even those remote Tibetan communities, they were knocked down as well. So that means they cannot go to the downtown to buy the veggies. So we explain to them, if you can have some veggies in your houses and you are not so dependent on the transportation, on the market, it's not only save money, but also you can be self-dependent, and no matter what happens, you can still survive in that situation. So okay, so that's also some things they feel very reasonable. And also, one more important thing is we do the plantation together with them. We not just tell them to do, but we do together with them. So we brought seeds, we do the plantations together with them. So they just feel be accompanied, and also they feel they are not lonely, and also feel our support, long-term support and commitment. So that's many things to do. So for our community-based activities, it's not just the environmental problem. It's not just the things about the environment protection. That's a lot of things to do with the people, to change people's mind, to make people to improve their behaviors. So that's might be the combination of environment science and sociology.
So I have a question. Oh, I was asking. I was just wanted to. Okay. Okay. Another round of applause.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
BIOMES is done, but
yeah.
Zhong, you are here for the rest of the semester, so please feel free to reach out, ask questions. There are empanadas, and I don't think that there is a class coming, so you guys are more than welcome to hang out and chat. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Again. Thank you. Yeah.